I'm Mike.
I'm Jason.
This is Snake Envy. As we've mentioned before, we're going to kick it off with a feeding tip. And a question I see a ton is about feeding multiple prey. I do it a lot. I know you do it a lot. Do you see any problem at all with feeding multiple prey?
No, I actually think it's beneficial. To be correct, like I have some gopher snakes that they're too small for jumbo mice, jumbo at breeders, retired breeders, but they'll take like 3 or 4 small adults easily, and they want more, so it's like they're getting a lot, but they're still wanting more. So
two things. When snakes are young, it's just a natural progression that when snakes are in between prey sizes as they grow, just give them 2 or 3 of, the smaller one and work your way up to the next bigger one. Nothing wrong with that at all. The other thing, even with adults, like you're saying, I've got 2 big Pituophis at home who I feed them medium rats. They could take large rats, but large rats are pushing it a little bit. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll give them either 2 or 3 chicks, or I will give them 1 medium rat and 1 chicken chick. And then that way I'm kind of in between, and I don't feel like I'm overfeeding them. I also know for a fact I'm not underfeeding them. But I think there's a lot of examples where multiple prey, but yet I see people online say, don't do it, it's bad. I don't even see how that would be possible, because the digestive juices, I would even argue you're probably digesting the multiple smallers easier.
So that's why I said that it's better.
Yeah.
That's right there is why I said it's easier to break down smaller items than one large item.
And the digestive juices are going in between them all.
They break down easier.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it at all. I would just say, when in doubt, feed too small over one that is way too big. That's always been my rule. I would rather a snake eat 3 and not be gorged, and than to eat 1 giant one.
And they do it in the wild.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if a rat snake's going to climb a tree and raid a nest, it's going to take everything.
It's not going to take one.
No, they're going to take it all.
No, they're gonna clean it out.
You hear stories like I've read, in books where bull snakes will go down a rabbit, and they'll get the whole litter of babies, and they'll strangle one, bite and strangle one, and crush the other ones with their body up against the walls of the cave, and garter snakes they're gobbling down tadpoles and frogs and fish, and they just multiples is not definitely. There's definitely not any issues with that.
No, I agree. I would say no issues, and I would also say now again, we're talking about erring on the small side. If you're giving a snake that, where a medium rat's already leaving a bulge and you give it 2.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
That's a different story. So we're talking about when you err on the small side. Always great thing to give multiple smaller prey. Now, the one caveat I would give would be metabolism does come into play. Like most of the colubrids we all keep, their metabolism is so fierce that even if you're feeding a prey item that's too large, it's typically not going to be a very big deal. You don't want to make a habit of it, but that's not going to affect them much. Now, I do have a green tree python. I know you have some snakes with a little slower. The slower metabolism guys definitely err on the small side. If you're leaving a bulge with multiple prey items in like a green tree python, not good. Even a bulge with 1, I typically try to just match the prey to his body, his widest part. I don't want to go wider than that. But with colubrids, you can add 25%. You can feed 2. You can,
No, and
they're going to power through them.
Now there's an opposite to that. I have some bull snakes that are 3. Well, now they're 4 years old. I have some Sonorans that are 4 years old. I didn't breed them. I didn't cycle them because they weren't quite up to size when brumation came around last year. But they're plenty big now, and they're plenty big enough. And I've noticed that I was feeding them every weekly, and I've had to back off because they're getting too fat.
Yes.
Like, I don't like obese snakes. Like,
exactly.
I don't think it's healthy. So snakes, and weekly is it's a very common thing, but like, it's okay to skip a week. Like, it's totally
Absolutely.
fine. I force some of my snakes to skip a week because they're a little too heavy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I've talked before about winter. I have snakes in the winter. I just routinely feed every other week because I don't want to mess with, wasted prey, and I don't want to mess with making one snake obese because he's eating what everybody else refused.
Yeah.
So you just back some of your snakes off to every other week at certain times of the year. You're going to waste less prey. You're going to be stressed less about why aren't they eating. And bottom line, at the end of the day, they're going to end up with about the same amount of food as if you kept trying to do it weekly. So you can always be strategic with this stuff as well.
Strategic, that's a pretty good word. Because it's like you'll figure out your snakes and you'll figure out their metabolisms and all that stuff, and so you'll figure it out. Like, I self-regulate my animals, and I would expect everybody else to kind of do that. So or learn to as you go.
Exactly. Yeah, just pay attention to them. They're all individuals. And it's okay, particularly if you're a pet owner, you only have a few snakes. It's easy to keep track of, hey, these are my every other week guys. These are my weekly guys. That's easy to do. Now, one last point, and we touched on it a little bit, but just to be more specific, as a snake is growing, one thing you will encounter is you're certain they can take the bigger prey item, but they don't want it. They're big enough. So they've graduated from hopper. They're ready to take adult mouse. It's clear that they're big enough to do it. They're not always ready when we are.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're even, I don't know, a little intimidated or a little afraid of the bigger prey item maybe. They're reluctant to do it even though they're big enough. There's nothing wrong with, 3 hoppers in place of the adult mouse. So don't try to rush your snake into something that's not ready for. You'll know. And go a few weeks with the 3 hoppers, and then try again in a month or 2 months, and they'll eventually take that bigger prey item. But sometimes they look at it and they're like, are you kidding me? I don't want that.
Yeah.
I like those other things I've been eating for 3 months.
That kind of stuff happens here weekly. So.
Yeah. So never be afraid to do multiples instead of trying to push them into a bigger prey item they're not quite ready for. That's definitely a good strategy as they grow.
I kind of like multiple prey items too during this time of year when it's breeding season, to give them an extra little boost. And so, yeah.
Well, those females at breeding time, that's actually probably a good example of where you're not even necessarily trying to go smaller, but you just know they can take an extra one, and that's okay. But learn your snakes. Be a little strategic about things. Time of year can be an issue. As they're growing, they might not be quite ready for that bigger prey item yet. That's perfectly fine. Feed multiples. Okay. Breeding season. How's everything going?
Going really well. Like, it just got crazy today. Like, it's been a little slow the last week. I mean, there's been eggs here and there, but like today, all of a sudden we got like 6-7 clutches being laid.
And we're going to show you some of those. So stay tuned for that. We're going to show you a lot of snakes today that are either laying or just right there. We looked at a bull over there where the egg is.
She's got her tail up. She's getting ready. You can tell.
Yeah,
she's getting ready
right there. It almost looks like it'd fall out at this point. Are you happy so far with progress in terms of fertility versus slugs, and Happy with, I think you mentioned to me, everybody's paired at this point. There's no more pairings.
Yeah.
We may have a random one here.
There's a couple random, like late bloom, like late stuff, but like everything's done paired for the most part. Everything's pretty much gravid as well, or as of late already.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How many clutches you think have laid so far? Today is what, May 20th? 21st?
I bet there's at least 30 clutches.
So at least 30 so far. And we've had a few people ask in the comments. People are excited about the African snakes, house snakes coming. 2 clutches, 48 total eggs. And that's going to be a combination of T positive, T negative albino, and double albinos. So we'll have a variety of all of those. Those are all Cape albinos. 48 eggs.
There's a few that few's gone bad, but
yeah, there will be. But 48 to start. But pretty good odds we're going to have at least 40. So for those of you that have been asking, yes, we definitely have house snakes on the horizon, and we're excited about what house snakes we're going to be adding over the next couple of seasons. So keep an eye out. Anything else? Anything else you want to touch on as far as breeding season goes so far this spring?
Not really. Like, I think, we want to, we'll wait. And we'll wait when the eggs hatch, and that's that's what everybody wants to see.
The payoff.
So, all the fun stuff.
Do you have a better feeling about bull snakes so far this season? Bull snakes last season were a little off.
Yeah, we've had some infertility with some bulls. Not so much with anything else. There's a couple things, happens, but but for whatever reason, the bull snakes there's a, couple odd, I've had a couple clutches of slugs. I've had, we'll show you pictures, but there's a couple duds in these clutches. Yeah. And so, it kind of happens. So.
Well, it's bound to happen, but after last year, I think,
it will be better than last year.
Yeah, really hoping this year is going to be a rebound on the bulls. So that's good to hear that so far things are trending upward. Please like, subscribe, comment, ask us any questions you might have, whether it's feeding, whether it's breeding. We're happy to answer that. Who have we got?
So this is an Axanthic white-sided bull. This was his first year breeding, and I actually plugged him into 5 girls, which was kind of risky, but it did pan out. So he did the job. But this is an exceptional white-side. Look at how high the white comes up on the sides. Not all bull snakes are like that. White sides.
He's definitely got some white walls. No doubt.
He's definitely hungry. He went on a 2-month hunger strike. So
I am not food, buddy. I am not food.
So, yeah.
Now, when you say risky, just in the sense that
it's just unproven.
5 is a lot.
5's a lot. Like 6 is kind of a.
So
We just got our ass kicked by a little snake.
so risky in the sense that it's his first year, so he's not even proven. You don't even know technically that he's fertile. You assume he is, but technically you don't know that.
And all the females were virgins as well, and
wow.
So there was double risk, and he did a good job. So.
And he had a lot of fun for his first time out.
Yeah.
You have 5 pairings, 5 clutches.
With unproven males or females.
Unproven males or females.
Yeah. That's why it's a little risque.
You're a crazy man.
I didn't have a choice.
But it looks good so far. That's good.
Yep, it worked out.